Welcome to my story. Imagine living in a world where you're constantly hiding a part of who you are, your love, your truth. Now, what if you had the chance to embrace it all, without fear? This is a journey of two athletes who find strength not just on the court, but in each other. It's about breaking barriers, finding love in unexpected places, and learning to live authentically. Stay with me, because this story will make you believe that love and courage can change everything. Imagine being on the edge of something huge, something that could change your life forever, but feeling like you're standing still, holding your breath. That's exactly how Tyler Mitchell feels. At 22, he's a new face at Westlake University, hoping to make a name for himself on the basketball court. But Tyler's story isn't just about basketball. It's about something deeper, something he's been hiding for a long time. Every day, Tyler wakes up before dawn. The gym is quiet. The world is still asleep, and it's just him, the court, and his thoughts, and his... He pushes himself harder than anyone could imagine. It's not just about being the best player. He's trying to prove something to himself. He's trying to survive in a world that doesn't always give space for who he really is. But one night, after an exhausting practice, everything changes. Jordan Reynolds, the team's star player, walks into the locker room. He's everything Tyler isn't: confident, established, someone people respect. He has the kind of presence that makes you stop and take notice. At 6'5", with defined muscles and eyes that seem to look right through you, Jordan doesn't just play the game, he owns it. Tyler, on the other hand, is still learning how to fit in, how to be seen without feeling like he's hiding behind a mask. "Good shot tonight, rookie," Jordan says with a knowing smile, throwing a towel over his shoulder. His voice is deep and steady, filled with a quiet kind of power. Tyler is caught off guard. He didn't expect Jordan to notice him. In fact, he didn't even realize anyone was noticing him. "Thanks," Tyler replies, his throat dry. He's never been good at this, at connecting with people. But Jordan's words are different. They're real, they carry weight. "Noticed you stay late after practice," Jordan continues, glancing over at him. "That's good. Shows you're hungry." There's something about the way Jordan says it, something that makes Tyler feel both seen and exposed at the same time. It's not just about basketball. It's about something more. "I've got my routine," Tyler says quietly, trying to sound casual, but his heart is beating faster. He's not sure why, but something about Jordan makes him feel like he's on the edge of a cliff, ready to jump, yet terrified of what might happen if he does. Jordan doesn't seem to notice Tyler's inner turmoil. Instead, he gives him a nod, like he understands exactly what it's like to push yourself until it hurts. And in that moment, Tyler realizes that Jordan might understand more than anyone else ever has. Over the next few weeks, their interactions become more frequent. At first, it's just small things. Jordan offering advice on a shot, Tyler following him during practice, their movements syncing in a way that feels natural, as if they've been playing together for years. It's not just about the game anymore. It's about a connection neither of them can explain. They start working out together after practice. Jordan's touch, guiding Tyler's arms through each movement, is brief but deliberate. It sends a strange, electric feeling through Tyler every time their skin touches. He tells himself it's nothing, just coaching, just basketball. But deep down, he knows it's more. And as their time together grows, so does the tension. It's unspoken, but palpable. The way their eyes meet across the court, the way Jordan's smile lingers a little longer than usual. It's like they're speaking in a language only they understand, one that doesn't need words to communicate. Every little moment feels like it's building to something neither of them is ready to face. But in the locker room, when no one else is around, that's when the walls start to come down. Tyler begins to realize something he's never fully acknowledged before. Jordan isn't just the star athlete. He's human, just like him. He has his own struggles, his own insecurities. Tyler starts to see the cracks in the image Jordan has perfected. The tough exterior. The perfect smile. Jordan, too, is playing a part. And in the quiet moments between them, when the rest of the world is out of sight, Tyler can feel it. They're not so different after all. This isn't just about basketball anymore. It's about something much bigger. It's about finding strength in vulnerability, about learning to trust someone when every instinct tells you to protect yourself. Tyler starts to understand that the connection between them isn't just a coincidence. It's real. And as the season moves forward, Tyler finds himself torn between his growing feelings for Jordan and the reality of what that means in the world they live in. In the world of college basketball, there's no room for distractions. No room for weakness. No room for anything that could get in the way of the game. But Tyler doesn't know how long he can keep pretending that everything is fine, when every moment with Jordan feels like it's pulling him closer to a truth he's not ready to face. As they continue to play, the chemistry between them grows stronger, more intense. But with every connection they share, Tyler starts to ask himself, what happens when the game is over, eh? What happens when the whistle blows and there's nothing left to hide? There's something about being seen, really seen, that can shift everything. It's as if the world, with all its noise, fades away, and for a moment someone sees you, truly sees you, without judgment, without expectation. That's what Tyler starts to feel when he's around Jordan. And it's not just the way Jordan looks at him. It's how he acts, how he makes Tyler feel like he's more than just another guy trying to make the team. At first it's subtle. Jordan doesn't say much. He doesn't need to. He's the kind of guy who leads by example. Tyler, still the newcomer, is trying to fit in. He's been working harder than anyone, doing the extra hours in the gym, practicing long after everyone else has left. But there's always this sense of doubt that lingers in the back of his mind. He doesn't feel like he belongs. Not yet. But when Jordan starts to notice him, it changes everything. It's late one evening, long after practice has ended, and Tyler is there again, shooting alone, with the sound of the ball bouncing echoing off the empty gym walls. His muscles are sore, his body aching, but he keeps pushing through the pain, trying to perfect that one shot that's always eluded him. He's on autopilot. It's the only way he knows how to cope, how to survive in a world where the pressure never stops. But this night is different. The door creaks open, and there's that familiar sound of sneakers on the hardwood floor. Tyler doesn't look up at first. He's too focused. But then, there's a voice, low and steady, breaking through the silence. "Mind if I join you?" It's Jordan. Tyler's heart skips a beat. He stops mid-shot, not sure how to respond. Should he say something? Should he play it cool? What would Jordan want with someone like him? Just the transfer kid who's been working his butt off in the shadows. Sure, Tyler finally responds. A little unsure, trying to act casual, but feeling anything but. He quickly wipes the sweat from his brow, trying to look like he's got it all together. Jordan just nods and starts warming up, shooting from the three-point line. It's effortless for him. Everything he does on the court seems easy, like he was born for this. And Tyler. Tyler is still figuring it out. Every movement feels calculated, every shot a challenge. But something shifts in the air when they're together. It's not just the game they're playing. It's something deeper, something neither of them has put into words yet. As they continue practicing together, Jordan's presence becomes a constant. He's always there, giving advice when needed, offering small tips to improve Tyler's form. It starts to feel like they're in sync, like the game has become a language only they understand. "Try adjusting your elbow a bit more," Jordan says, moving behind Tyler as they work on their jump shots. His hand brushes against Tyler's arm as he corrects his posture, and Tyler feels a jolt of electricity run through him, though he tries not to show it. "Like this?" Tyler asks, his voice barely a whisper. He doesn't want to sound too eager, too exposed. He's still figuring out how to navigate this space with Jordan, still unsure where the lines between coaching and something more blur. "Exactly," Jordan responds with a smile, his tone warm, almost reassuring. But there's something else there, something unsaid in the way he holds Tyler's gaze just a little too long, something that Tyler feels but doesn't know how to put into words. It's like their connection is building, piece by piece, without either of them realizing it. They begin to spend more time together, extra practices, late-night gym sessions, rides back to campus after practice. Their conversations grow beyond just basketball. They talk about music, about their dreams, about where they come from. Tyler learns that Jordan's been playing basketball since he was a kid, that the sport is all he's ever known, the one thing that's always felt like home for him. "I always thought I'd end up in the NBA," Jordan says one night, as they're driving back from an away game, the dark streets of the city flashing past them. "That was the dream, you know? But sometimes it feels like the closer I get, the farther away it becomes." Tyler looks over at him, curious. "What do you mean?" Jordan's grip on the steering wheel tightens, his eyes focused on the road ahead. "I guess I've just started to wonder if it's worth it anymore. This pressure, the expectations. Sometimes I feel like I'm not just playing for myself. I'm playing for everyone else too." Tyler nods, understanding more than Jordan realizes. He knows what it feels like to carry everyone else's expectations on your shoulders, to feel like your life isn't entirely yours to control. "I get that," Tyler says quietly. "I feel like I'm constantly trying to prove I belong, you know. Like if I don't give it everything I've got, then I'll just fade into the background." There's a brief pause before Jordan speaks again. "Yeah, I get that too. But I think the hardest part is that we're all just pretending to be something we're not. Like this whole world, basketball, the locker room, everything. It's all built on this idea of what we're supposed to be. And sometimes, I wonder if anyone really knows who they are in all of it." Tyler's heart skips a beat. It's the first time Jordan has opened up like this, and it hits closer to home than anything Tyler has ever heard. They're not just talking about basketball anymore. They're talking about life, about who they really are underneath the surface. And in that moment, Tyler feels a shift inside of him. For the first time, he feels like Jordan sees him, not just as a teammate, but as someone who understands, someone who knows what it's like to feel lost, to feel like you're constantly having to pretend. That night, the drive back to campus feels different. The air between them feels lighter, like they've both shared something they didn't even know they were holding on to. And Tyler realizes, for the first time, that he's not alone in this. Jordan has his own struggles, his own battles to fight. The next day, after practice, they're shooting together again, this time without words. They don't need to talk. Each move is an unspoken agreement. They've developed a kind of rhythm, a flow, that comes naturally now. Tyler knows where Jordan will be before he even makes the move, and Jordan knows the same about him. The chemistry is undeniable. It's more than just basketball. It's something else entirely. There's an understanding between them, a connection that's growing stronger with each practice, each game. It's as if they've tapped into something deeper, something neither of them knew existed. But as much as Tyler enjoys the bond they're building, it's hard not to feel conflicted. There's something about Jordan that Tyler can't ignore. The way he looks at him, the way their hands brush when they pass the ball, it's more than just a teammate's touch. It's a spark. Tyler can't help but wonder, is this just chemistry on the court, or is it something more? Jordan, on the other hand, seems to sense the change too. He's always been observant, always been in tune with the people around him. But with Tyler, there's something different. There's a kind of magnetic pull, an energy that neither of them can explain. It's subtle at first, but as the days go by, it becomes harder to ignore. There's a moment during a particularly intense game against their biggest rivals when everything shifts. The score is close and the tension is palpable. The crowd is on their feet, shouting, cheering. Tyler gets the ball, sees Jordan in position, and without thinking, passes it to him. Jordan catches it mid-air and dunks it effortlessly, the crowd roaring in approval. But it's not the game-winning dunk that stays with Tyler. It's the look on Jordan's face after the play, the way his eyes lock with Tyler's across the court. It's like time slows down. For that split second, it's just the two of them. In that moment, Tyler knows something has changed. There's a connection between them that no one else can see, but they both feel it. After the game, in the locker room, the tension between them is undeniable. Their gazes meet, and Tyler can feel the heat in his chest. Jordan's voice breaks through the silence. "You were incredible tonight," he says quietly, his tone soft but filled with meaning. "You were amazing." And for the first time, Tyler realizes that maybe it's not just the game they're winning. Maybe, just maybe, it's each other. There are moments in life that change everything. You don't always see them coming. They don't announce themselves with grand gestures or dramatic speeches. They slip in quietly, like a whisper in the middle of a storm. And suddenly, you realize that nothing will ever be the same again. That's what Tyler felt when he and Jordan shared that look across the court, when the game ended and the world seemed to stand still for just a few seconds. The intensity of their connection had shifted. The chemistry they'd developed over weeks of late-night practices, long drives back from games, and shared moments on the court had now spilled into something more. It was undeniable, but neither of them knew what to do with it yet. Neither of them was ready to face it. But the weight of that unspoken tension grew stronger with every passing day. It was in the way their eyes met when they crossed paths in the hallways, in the way their hands brushed just a bit longer than necessary when handing off a water bottle or passing a basketball. It was in the small, fleeting moments that no one else seemed to notice, but that left both of them breathless, as if something more than just the game was on the line. It wasn't something they talked about. Not yet. Maybe they couldn't, because that would make it real. But it was there, heavy in the air. Every stolen glance, every brush of skin, every time Jordan helped Tyler adjust his form during practice, it all added to the growing tension between them. The silence was almost deafening, filled with everything neither of them dared to say. One evening after practice, when the gym was empty, except for the two of them, Tyler stayed behind to work on his shooting. His body was tired, aching from the intense practice, the endless repetitions, but his mind wouldn't let him stop. The ball bounced rhythmically against the court, each shot a desperate attempt to prove something, to himself, to the team, to anyone who might be watching. Then the door creaked open. Tyler didn't need to look up. He knew who it was. Jordan. He felt it before he even saw him, this electricity in the air. The kind that made everything feel heavier, like time itself had slowed down. Jordan didn't say anything at first. He just stood there, watching Tyler shoot, as if waiting for something. Tyler didn't stop. He kept shooting, his form automatic now, his thoughts racing. Was this another moment where Jordan would give him advice, where the touch of his hand would guide Tyler's arm as he corrected his shot? Or was it something else this time? "You're improving," Jordan said after a few seconds, his voice breaking through the silence. Tyler's heart skipped a beat. Was it just praise? Or was there more behind the words? "Thanks," Tyler replied, trying to sound casual, though his pulse was thumping loudly in his ears. He glanced over at Jordan, catching him staring in a way that felt different, deeper than before. The way Jordan's eyes held his for a fraction of a second longer than usual made Tyler's stomach twist. It was as if Jordan was seeing something in him that no one else had ever seen. It made Tyler feel vulnerable in a way he hadn't felt before, like all his walls were suddenly slipping away. Jordan took a step closer, closing the distance between them. "You've been putting in a lot of work," he said softly, as if the words weren't just about basketball anymore. "It's not easy, being the new guy. I know what that feels like." Tyler swallowed hard, his breath catching in his throat. He was always the new guy, always the one trying to prove he belonged. It had been that way his whole life, but with Jordan, it felt different. He wasn't just another teammate. He was something else, something Tyler wasn't ready to fully face. The two of them stood there for a moment, not speaking, the weight of everything between them growing heavier with every passing second. The only sound was the echo of Tyler's basketball hitting the court, the squeak of his sneakers as he shifted from foot to foot. It felt like the whole world had paused just for them. And then, in one fluid movement, Jordan stepped closer. Tyler's heart raced, his chest tightening as Jordan's hand reached out, gently guiding Tyler's arm as they worked on his shot. Their bodies were now mere inches apart. Tyler could feel the warmth of Jordan's skin, the steady rhythm of his breath, the faint scent of his cologne mixed with sweat. Everything about the moment felt surreal. It wasn't just a coaching moment anymore. It was something else, something intimate. Jordan's voice was low when he spoke again. "You've got more than just talent, Tyler," he said, his hand still resting lightly on Tyler's arm. "You've got heart, but you're not going to get anywhere hiding behind that wall you've built." Tyler's breath caught. The words hit harder than any drill Jordan had ever given him. It was like Jordan had seen the real him, his fear, his hesitation, his need to constantly prove himself. He'd seen everything that Tyler had tried so hard to keep hidden. And in that moment, it felt like the walls he'd so carefully constructed around himself were crumbling down, piece by piece. He didn't know if he was ready to face what that meant. He wasn't sure if he could handle it. "I'm not hiding," Tyler said, though his voice wavered. He wanted to believe the words. He needed to believe them. But deep down, he knew Jordan could see right through him. Jordan didn't respond at first. Instead, he stepped back, the distance between them increasing. But the tension never quite left. Tyler could still feel the weight of Jordan's touch, still feel the burn of his gaze. "You're a lot like me," Jordan said, his voice quieter now. "Trying to be something you're not. Trying to fit into a mold you never asked for." Tyler looked up at him, his heart pounding in his chest. He hadn't expected Jordan to open up like this, hadn't expected him to understand. But there it was, this shared vulnerability, this quiet understanding that neither of them had been willing to admit before. "What does that mean?" Tyler asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Jordan met his gaze, his expression serious but soft. "It means that I see you. And maybe it's time you started seeing yourself too." Tyler's world seemed to stop for a moment. The words hung in the air between them, unspoken but undeniable. He could feel his heart pounding in his chest, could feel the weight of Jordan's gaze on him. There was no going back now. Everything that had been building between them was crashing into the present, and Tyler didn't know what to do with it. He wanted to say something, wanted to tell Jordan that he felt the same way, that he understood, that everything he had been trying to hide was now sitting on his shoulders, heavy and undeniable, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, he just nodded, his throat too tight to speak. Jordan studied him for a moment, his eyes searching Tyler's face as if trying to find the right words. Finally, he nodded slowly, as if coming to some silent conclusion. "I'll see you tomorrow," he said, his voice steady, but there was something different in it, something softer. As Jordan walked away, Tyler stood there, frozen in place. His mind was racing, his thoughts scattered. What had just happened? What had that moment meant? He couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to change. And as much as he wanted to deny it, a part of him was ready for that change. A part of him was ready to face whatever came next. The gym, now empty, felt quieter than it ever had before. The echoes of their footsteps seemed to linger in the silence, a reminder of everything that had just happened. Tyler knew he wasn't the same person he was when he walked in. He didn't know what would happen next, but he knew one thing for sure. There was no going back. And that, in itself, was terrifying. Tyler was not prepared for this moment. His life, what he had thought was certain, was suddenly thrown into chaos. He felt trapped in a cage where he could not speak his truth, where he could not be himself. He had built walls to protect himself, created a world where he could live without having to face himself. But now, in the quiet of the training ground, everything changed. For the first time in his life, Tyler felt like he could let those walls down, let someone into his world without fear of being hurt. It didn't come from advice. It didn't come from deep conversations. It came from Jordan's presence. The look, the gentle care without having to say much, just feeling. From the very first practices, Tyler sensed that there was something special between him and Jordan. The glances exchanged in the locker room, the constant encouragement Jordan gave him. It all seemed like more than just friendly banter between teammates, but a deeper connection. But Tyler still couldn't face it. He continued to hide himself, continued to live in the shell he had created. He didn't know if he would be accepted if he let people see. The closer Tyler got to Jordan, the stronger that connection became. He began to realize that the feelings he had kept hidden for so long weren't such bad things. He began to feel safe around Jordan, like he could slowly let go of his shell. But it wasn't until Jordan stood there, close to him, saying nothing, just looking at him for a long time, that Tyler understood something deeper. One night, after practice ended, when the rest of the team had left, Tyler stayed behind, practicing alone. He wanted to be perfect, to improve every little detail of his game, but after all that effort, he realized that no matter how perfect he was, it wouldn't fill the void inside him. He was running away from something, running away from himself. He couldn't live a lie anymore. That was when Jordan stepped in, with a look that was familiar yet different. Not the usual simple encouragement, but a look Tyler had never seen before. Jordan didn't have to say anything, but his eyes said it all. It was as if Jordan understood, and it was something Tyler couldn't face on his own. "Tyler," Jordan began, his voice low but not heavy, You don't have to try so hard anymore." Tyler looked up, and for the first time in a long time, he didn't feel like he had to hide. Not from Jordan, not from himself. It was a moment he couldn't describe in words, when the walls he'd built over the years came crumbling down without warning. Jordan stepped closer, and the closeness was different. It wasn't the usual comforting touch of a friend. It was a loving, understanding approach. "You don't have to do this alone," Jordan said, his voice warm but sincere. "I see you, Tyler. I see everything you try to hide." Tyler didn't know what to say, just stood there, his heart beating faster than ever. The words seemed to pierce him to the core. Everything Tyler had kept inside, all the fears, all the uncertainties, all the lies he had told himself, was exposed under Jordan's gaze. But he didn't feel hurt. On the contrary, he felt liberated. He didn't have to hide anymore. He didn't have to be afraid anymore. Tyler Jordan smiled, and this time his smile wasn't comforting. It held a deep understanding. "It's okay, Tyler," Jordan said, his eyes soft. "I'm here. You don't have to be afraid anymore. You don't have to run away anymore." And in that moment, Tyler knew there was no going back. He didn't need to keep those walls up anymore. He didn't need to live in fear. He looked into Jordan's eyes, and he knew this was it. This was what he'd been searching for. Not for success on the field, not for recognition from others, but for acceptance of himself. Jordan wasn't just a great teammate. He was the only person Tyler felt safe enough to be himself. Tyler stepped closer to Jordan, no longer hesitant, no longer afraid. He stepped into the space of honesty, of connection that he had been running away from. And then, with nothing left to hide, no more words to hesitate about, they touched again. A light, meaningful touch. Just a moment, but it was the most important moment of Tyler's life. This time there was no awkwardness, no doubt. It was just them, and the truth of what was happening between them. When Jordan touched Tyler's shoulder, a gentle caress, a whisper, "You're not alone anymore." It was the moment Tyler realized he didn't have to carry everything on his own. He didn't have to be strong all the time. He could lean on someone, and most of all, he could be himself. The wall finally fell. Tyler was no longer running. He could be himself, in all his weaknesses and strengths, in all his fears and hopes. And that was when he not only crossed a new threshold in his life, but also opened up a world where he no longer had to hide. After that moment, when the walls Tyler had built up over the years came down, he felt like a new world opened up before him. He no longer had to hide himself, no longer had to live in fear of things he had never dared to face. And most of all, he no longer had to carry everything alone. But as anyone knows, when you dare to open up, when you dare to be true to yourself, sometimes it is not as easy as we think. Tyler and Jordan have entered a new chapter in their relationship, but there are two sides to every coin. While they feel freer than ever, their struggles continue. Especially in a world filled with prejudice, acceptance doesn't always come easy. Tyler feels this as they begin to be more open about their relationship, although that doesn't mean they've overcome all the challenges yet. As the new kid on the team, Tyler couldn't help but feel the attention from those around him. The curious stares, the whispers behind his back, and the occasional indifference from his teammates. Although everything between him and Jordan seemed perfect when they were together, Tyler faced a lot of judgment off the field. The unspoken questions, the suspicious looks, and the feeling of never being completely comfortable around Jordan all weighed heavily on Tyler. He couldn't avoid it anymore. At first, he thought that being true to himself would solve all his problems. But no one could have predicted that sometimes the truth would hurt. Tyler realized that coming out in public wasn't always easy, especially in an environment where expectations of a strong masculine image were so high. Even though not everyone confronted them directly, the rejection and gossip still left him confused. Jordan felt the tension too. Although he always appeared strong and confident, in recent days he saw the worry in Tyler's eyes, felt the change in the attitudes of his teammates and those around him. This made Jordan even more troubled, even more worried about what they would have to face. Their relationship was not just a beautiful story in the locker room or after each practice, but a part of real life, where love is not always accepted easily. One day, after a tough game, everything seemed to fall apart. Tyler felt tired and frustrated. The feeling that he couldn't fit in with the group made him want to quit. When he entered the locker room, the gossip from his teammates about his relationship with Jordan made him feel even more alienated. Although no one said it to his face, the silence and coldness in the air made Tyler feel like an outsider. He didn't know what to do, didn't know how to explain, and it weighed heavily on his heart. Jordan saw the change in Tyler's eyes, sensed the sadness and frustration that Tyler was hiding. He didn't want to leave Tyler alone in this storm. Jordan had always been the strong one, but this time, he knew that he couldn't handle it all alone. He needed to tell Tyler that they didn't have to face everything alone, and more than anything, he needed to help Tyler understand that their love was worth it, worth protecting, and most importantly, that no one could define them except themselves. That evening, after everyone had left, Jordan came to Tyler. He didn't say anything, just stood there facing Tyler. No fancy words, no explanations. Jordan just needed to be there. And then Tyler spoke, his voice choked. "I can't go on like this," Tyler admitted, his eyes heavy. "I can't let people see me as a stranger. I can't always blame myself." Jordan looked straight into Tyler's eyes, soft but full of sincerity. "Tyler, I understand that feeling, but you have to remember one thing. Our love is not something to hide, and no one can tell us how to live. What's important is that you can be true to yourself, to me, and to what we have. There's nothing to be ashamed of." Tyler found Jordan's words to be a great source of encouragement. They weren't just words, they were affirmations that no matter how hard things got, they would get through it. And more importantly, Jordan was there, by his side, facing it together. Tyler realized that he didn't have to face every challenge alone, and that was the greatest source of strength he could have. And it was at this point that Tyler realized something important. Not everyone would understand them, and sometimes acceptance wouldn't come right away. But their love was real, and that was what mattered most. The next day, as they walked into the locker room, Tyler no longer felt like a stranger. He realized that some people might never understand them, but that didn't matter. What mattered was that he had chosen to be true to himself. And if he could do that, other challenges, no matter how big, would come along. Tyler and Jordan's relationship is not a fairy tale. It's not perfect, but it's a story of courage, of finding truth in the most difficult moments. And they know that no matter what happens, they will always stand together, because they have overcome the greatest challenge, true love and self-acceptance. Everything becomes clearer when you're standing at a threshold. It's that defining moment, the moment you know you have to step through to change, to grow, to face what you've been avoiding. And for Tyler and Jordan, it wasn't a conversation. It wasn't an emotional confession. It was a game, the final game of the season, where everything from passion to love to self-acceptance was on the line in the tenseness of the moment. It was the finals. Everything was coming to a head. This game was not just a physical test, but a mental one as well. Everyone knew that Westlake had a great opportunity on their hands. A win would bring fame, would carve their names into school history, would be the perfect end to a memorable season. But for Tyler and Jordan, this game was about more than fame or victory. It was about facing what they had kept inside for so long. Both of them, on and off the court, have had to deal with their own fears. Especially Tyler, who had lived in a world of walls where he couldn't see the beauty in himself. He had to prove who he was, to live up to the image that society wanted him to have. But now, in this moment, he didn't have to prove anything anymore. He had found himself, and more importantly, he had found Jordan, who was there for him, not just as a teammate on the court, but as a true friend, someone he could share everything he had kept hidden for so long. While the game continued at a tense pace, Tyler's heart was not there. His heart was in the moments between plays, in the furtive glances he shared with Jordan, in the synchronized steps with his beloved. Every gesture, every touch of their hands meant more than any words. They didn't need to say what they both knew. A look, a smile, was enough to understand each other. But Tyler now knew he couldn't continue to live in silence. He had to go public because it was time to be himself. And then, finally, the moment came, a tense game situation. There were only seconds left on the clock, and their team was behind. Everyone looked at Tyler and Jordan, who had become a perfect duo on the court, as if they could read each other's minds. They didn't need to say anything, just a look, and it was all clear. Tyler had the ball. He swept past two players, looking toward Jordan, who was standing in the corner, ready to catch it. It was a simple decision, but one that meant a lot. Tyler could have gone for the basket and scored himself, but he knew it was more important to trust Jordan. He tossed the ball to Jordan, fully trusting that his teammate wouldn't let him down. They both knew this was more than a pass. It was a statement, an unspoken message of trust and love for each other. Jordan took the ball, rose, and hit a perfect three-pointer. The stadium erupted in cheers. The basketball went through the hoop, and Westlake won in the final moments. But it wasn't that which made Tyler's heart flutter the most. It wasn't the victory that made him feel the proudest. It was the moment after the shot. Jordan turned, looking straight at Tyler. Everyone was celebrating around them. But in that moment of silence amid the noise, Tyler and Jordan stood there, looking at each other, not needing to say anything. That look was everything. Not just the joy of victory, but an acknowledgement, a recognition of the love they had kept hidden for so long. As the game ended and Westlake celebrated, Tyler knew his life would never be the same. He was no longer someone who had to hide things. He had stood up to every challenge, and more importantly, he had found the strength to be true to himself. After the game, while the team gathered to celebrate, Tyler and Jordan took a break from the crowd. They stood outside the stadium where no one else was. No cheers, no curious glances, just them and the quiet atmosphere. Jordan looked into Tyler's eyes, his eyes sparkling as if they held all the truth they had kept hidden for so long. And then Jordan spoke, his voice low and sure, but also sincere. "Tyler, I love you. I can't hide this feeling anymore, and I don't want to hide it from you anymore. There's nothing to be afraid of anymore." Tyler stood there, speechless. He could feel the love, not just in his words, but in his eyes, in what they had been through together. He smiled and softly replied, "I love you too, Jordan. You were always afraid to say it, but now I know we can get through anything." They stood there, not needing to say anything more. Because in that moment, they said it all. Love is not something that can be hidden, and sometimes, just being real, facing the truth, you will find the strength to overcome all challenges. And with each step they take, Tyler and Jordan know that nothing can stop them. Not societal prejudices, not fears about the future, because their love is the strongest thing. A relationship built not just on romance, but on trust and self-acceptance. And most importantly, they understand that love is the only thing that makes it all make sense. Love and truth, two things we often search for, sometimes without ever finding. But as Tyler and Jordan have proven, when we dare to be true to ourselves, dare to face our fears and doubts, miracles happen. They not only won the final game of the season, but they won against themselves, against the walls they had built around themselves. And more importantly, they found freedom in love and acceptance, not just from others, but from themselves. Tyler and Jordan's story is a powerful reminder that while society can be challenging and sometimes unfair, we have the power to live authentically and love authentically. There is nothing to hide, nothing to fear, when we live with love in our hearts and confidence in ourselves. Each of us has our own journey, a road filled with hardships and challenges. But if we dare to walk, dare to love and accept ourselves, we will find that everything becomes easier. If this story has touched your heart, if you feel inspired by Tyler and Jordan's journey, please share it with your friends. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on other inspiring stories, because each of us can make this world a better place when we share true stories of love, courage, and self-acceptance. Let this story be a part of your journey. And remember, there is nothing more valuable than being true to yourself. Start today. Step out of your comfort zone, accept yourself, and love without barriers. Thank you for following, and see you in the next stories. Wish you always be strong, always confident, and always love yourself.